Hello, welcome to Female Founderhood Podcast, which is basically your way to eavesdrop um, on the conversation of two founders just shitting and giggling about our failures and successes and what did we do to ourselves, basically, because entrepreneurs are unreasonable people. Welcome, Sophie Fraser. Happy
Hello, hi.
50th
Thank you for having me on. So good to be
birthday.
here. Thank you. I know. Oh my God. How
I,
did that even happen?
I know. Like for those of
The
you who
big
are
50.
watching, for those of you who are watching, this week is an auspicious week for Sophie and I because Sophie is turning 50. I'm turning 40 next week. So
Oh, wow. Okay, another big one.
exactly.
Amazing.
So this is for those of you, whatever age you are, my message is this. Like, look at us. This is 40, that is 50. If you're
I
not
love it.
optimistic,
I love it.
there's something wrong with you. Like, look at us.
Yeah. Honestly, I had no problem turning 50. I had no kind of wobbles, no, oh my God, I'm 50. I actually feel the best I've felt for a long time. It's just an arbitrary number. But yeah, it is important because I feel empowered, stepping into your power. That's what it's all about.
Yes, that's what I
Owning
want to
it.
discuss as well. Because you and I, we reading your bio, it's like, okay, listeners, Sophie has led several lives before, which I'm so happy because I hate it when people's lives are just like work, retire, and die, you know? And Sophie's life
Hmm.
was a
Yep.
fabric buyer. Oh my God, I live for fashion. She worked for a
Yep.
fashion brand in London. Like, what? And then she moved to marketing and she went and grew digital consultancy. So it's like, oh my God, it's almost like looking at my ideal career ahead of me and you've done it. And now Sophie is busy coaching other leaders use to unlock their potential using neuroscience, basically. Isn't that right, Sophie?
Yeah, absolutely. Using the power of your subconscious mind,
Mm,
tapping into that power, understanding your mind, understanding how you're wired, so that you can start using your conscious mind and your subconscious mind to reach those goals and also to just feel good about it as well, to put all of those limiting beliefs to bed, to step into that really empowered, knowing you're good enough, knowing that you're strong enough, knowing that you are just good enough regardless. And building that growth mindset and emotional intelligence is so important.
oh
All
my
of that kind of deep foundational work that we need to do as entrepreneurs to kind of ride the waves, deal with the setbacks, grow, and know that we're okay with that
God.
regardless, whatever
Mm.
happens.
You know what? Just like 4 minutes in, and I want to hire you to to coach my husband. Because
Do you know what? It's so funny that you say that. Yeah, I've been working with two women at the moment, and both of them saying, I really would love to send my husband to work with you because they
right.
are going on their journey.
Mhm.
And your journey is your journey. And this is what I always say, we're
Mm.
changing from the inside out, which really empowers you because you realize all the crap that's going on out there, it doesn't matter when you are stronger inside. You can kind of cope with it. But it can be frustrating then as you see other people around you
Mm.
perhaps staying a bit more stuck. And, we can only do that for ourselves, can't we? We can only work for ourselves. We can't necessarily influence the decisions, the beliefs, the behaviors of other
We can
people, but we can
only
be very empowered within ourselves.
we can only influence so much. We can kind of rub off on
Yeah, we can.
people, but
Yes. But
but
people have their
step,
filters.
yes, but the
Their
first step
filters.
has to
Yeah,
come from their side. Now, let's go back to
definitely.
um, London and fashion. When
Yeah.
was this? Is this the early noughties?
Oh my word. Yes, I suppose it was. London, yeah, it was a great place to be. I loved it. I used to work in Old Streets. I worked for a couple of fashion brands in their design department. So this was Oasis. So Oasis is still going, but it's
Mm-hmm.
online now and
Hmm.
Coast as well. And they had their own in-house department. So they had a fabric buyer, which is what I was doing. They had a design team. It was really exciting, actually. It was a great place to be, very fast paced. A bit of travel as well, which is always good when you're
Yeah.
young. You love to travel. I mean, I still love to travel now as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, it was great.
And now that we are more and more into femtech, I know that most femtech are um, health based, like medicine and everything to solve problems in the inside. And then there's this climate tech or green tech that is looking at how fast fashion is basically dumping so many stuff on the landfill. And then I
Yeah.
just found there's this now new wave of technology of I don't even know how to categorize between femtech or green tech, but I love for the fashion industry to solve the sizing problem because I think
Mm.
we now the one way to say you're being inclusive in your decision making in your design is to actually make the correct and varied sizes. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, because there needs to be something for everybody. The size, what we all have different shapes, don't we, as well? It's not even saying that you're a size X, or whatever it is. We all have really different shapes, don't we? Body shapes, and also different phases of your life as well.
Yes.
I know being 50, you're kind of starting to get a little bit more timber in areas that you really don't want to. And yeah, just kind of having something that makes you feel good, because fashion should be about feeling good, looking good, and also just projecting
Yes.
something about your personality as
Yes.
well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and I agree with the environmental impact of the fashion industry is such a, and I think the so my daughter who's 19, we were shopping, yes, well, so we went shopping, we were looking at ceramics yesterday. Actually, we were going and doing a little bit, and we popped into Oxfam
Mm,
because she loves getting pre-loved.
me
She'll buy a
too.
lot on, I don't know, vintage got quite expensive, but certain pre-loved it. And I think it's a much more accepted thing now for
Mm,
those generations that are coming up. Certainly her and all her friends are really starting to think about fast. So she won't buy from places, particularly like Sheen anymore,
mm,
which she did when she was kind of like
yeah.
13, 14, not really thinking about the impact. But now she's a much more conscious shopper, I would say, which is fantastic. So
Yeah.
yeah, we went into Oxfam and we both picked up brilliant dresses.
Mm,
Actually, I was so chuffed. I picked up a dress, and so did she. And we felt fabulous because you're giving something
yeah.
and you're breathing life into a garment that
Mhm.
otherwise might end up in landfill.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's another thing about garment landing on a landfill because that garment must have traveled from the garment factory to the retailers to the houses of
Yeah.
those who ordered and ordered the wrong size
Mm.
and then return it and then landfill. Imagine the carbon footprint of all of that traveling.
Oh god. Yeah. It's
for
crazy, isn't
for
it?
one
It's
dress.
crazy. Yeah, and the funny thing is as well, which really makes me laugh, and I love it actually, is that she's become kind of like raiding some of my stuff, some of my like belts and stuff that I've
Yeah.
had. She's like, "Oh, mum, this is really cool. You know, I really want." So she's really quite into some of her um probably like 90s and noughties fashion, and then giving it her own little twist as well, which I
Mhm.
really love to see. So that's quite cool.
Yeah. And speaking of fashion and sizes and and ages and our life cycle as women, I saw that you have struggled before with eating disorder. Can you talk more about that? Is that something quote unquote bad you picked up from the fashion industry, or how did that happen?
So that's not actually, so that wasn't me. That was my daughter, in actual fact,
Ah.
who had a so it is partly why I chose to kind of change direction as well. When I kind of changed direction, became an entrepreneur, was partly
Mm.
inspired by her journey and our journey as a family as well.
Mhm.
So when she was 12 years old, she developed anorexia, and it she did actually end up in hospital for 4 months.
How long until you
And
found
we kind
out?
of subsequently, sorry?
How fast did you find out, or was it
Oh, okay.
because she's 12?
Yeah, it was really dramatic. Yeah, we'd gone on holiday in
Mhm.
the February because she'd started secondary school
Mm.
in the September, and she didn't it we have a where we live, we have this horrible system of the 11 plus,
Yeah.
which I think is a very divisive system. It really puts a lot of pressure on kids. She didn't, let's say, quote unquote, pass her 11 plus. Some of her best friends did. Her self esteem was quite low. And she went to secondary school feeling really unhappy, in actual fact. So obviously eating disorders is not about the food, it's about the control element, and
Mhm.
no one sets out to get an eating disorder. It happened. I could go into a lot of detail because there's a lot of I guess misinformation out there
Yeah.
about eating disorders. So we went on holiday in the February, and me and my husband just like looked at her because it's quite easy to hide an eating disorder. It's very easy to kind of start wearing things, and we just looked at him and thought, "My goodness, you have
Mm.
lost a lot of weight." And of course, don't forget she's going through puberty, so often
Mm.
they're kind of shooting up as
Mhm.
well. And we
Mhm.
noticed her eating habits
Mm.
had changed because we were with her. So it transpired that she wasn't eating her lunch. And
Mm.
also, what you have to remember is at 12, the calories that you have to take on board because you are growing are quite high.
Mm.
So the deficit means that you can lose weight really
Yes.
quickly, like
I wish
really
I was
quickly. It's
12.
quite scary. Yeah,
The
yeah,
amount of
exactly. So
food I eat. I wish I was 12.
yeah, yeah. So it just goes to show
Mm.
how quickly these things can happen.
Yeah.
So that was in February, and as soon as we got home, we took her to the doctors. We were referred really quickly to a great
How did you
multidisciplinary
break
team. We
how did
had
you
some.
break your conversation to her first before taking her to see a doctor?
Well, we was broaching the conversation because we noticed the eating habits,
Mhm.
but the thing with an eating disorder, it can completely change your personality. It becomes your sole focus in life,
Mm.
becomes that one thing, which is the restriction, the control. So it didn't go down too well, but she did agree to come to the doctors.
Mm.
But the downhill journey was so rapid that come from February, she was then losing, even with support in place, she was losing a kilogram a week
What?
because you can't force somebody. Yeah, you couldn't. she wasn't just not eating, she was excessively exercising, but she would do that
No.
at night. So anyway, it gets quite
Wow.
complicated, but yeah, she ended up in hospital despite everyone's best efforts,
Mm,
refeeding, lots of support through teams of people that would come out.
mm,
But what you realize is that when you lose weight, you're not just losing weight you're losing weight from all your organs as well, around your organs. So
yeah.
even within your mind, in your brain, you're losing gray matter.
Mm,
So it's really serious mental. It's got the worst health outcomes of any mental health
mm,
disease. 20% of children and adults will die from an eating disorder, either through physical issues or suicide. Actually, as well, is
mm,
very prevalent. So they do take it very seriously. But I'm pleased to say she's 19. She's healthy.
mm,
She had a relapse a few years ago, but since then, I
mm,
mean, it's been a long battle because we since discovered there was, kind of neurodiversity in the family as well,
mm.
which affects how you think and how you
Yeah.
behave. So there's lots of crossovers between things, with an eating disorder and ADHD, for example.
Mm.
So in ways that you wouldn't really sort of understand initially. So yeah, but it's been a long journey, but it teaches you so many things.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I love that you, as a coach, you have lived experience, right? And it's different to
Yes.
when I was, when I thought 3 years ago, to go see a GP and talk about my anxiety and depression. And, you know, he's a senior doctor, but I don't think he understands. He has the degree, but mental health and mental issues is something that is not, um, like people think, oh, you're anorexic. Is it because you want to be in size zero? And then, as you quite rightly
Mm.
say, it's actually not about the size per se. It's not even about
Yeah.
fashion. It's more about control. Like, oh, I'm losing control on
Yeah.
everything else. What can I control? My plate, my mouth.
Yes. Yeah. And then it ends up controlling you. That's the problem because of your health deterioration, your mental health deterioration, and how it works, psychosis, there's lots of different things.
Mm,
Exactly. So it's interesting. Yeah. And now it's sent, although you would never choose that journey,
yeah.
it really does teach you so much. It really does. And I truly believe out of every hardship you go through, and I've been through quite a few in my lifetime,
Mm.
it's taught me, and I have come out, I think, stronger in actual fact, with more empathy, more understanding of the human condition and what makes us tick, and things that we can do to improve things for ourselves as well.
Yes, and I think, you know, you you used to be in marketing digital agencies, and you must understand how empathy is actually the root of great marketing, don't you think?
Yeah, empathy and just, I guess, emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
understanding and being able to read and understand emotions, what they are, not necessarily labeling them, but yeah, completely understanding and being able to, you know, yeah, get in somebody's shoes, understand where they're standing today is really important. If you want to market your business, you have to get under the skin of your clients and really understand what they're, where they are today and where they want to get to, and
Yeah.
what's standing in their way of getting from those, between those two places.
That's why it makes me angry every time I watch advertisement on TV, especially when they're advertising a car. This exactly the same thing. It's a car, any any brand of car. hike into a mountain or a, a, an empty road. Like every car does that, and every brand of car market or advertise their car that way. That is like,
Mm.
why are you spending that amount of money? Because TV advertising is so expensive, and the production to get that Jeep into that canyon is expensive too. And yet that is not going to what make me want to buy your car.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's bizarre, isn't it? Actually, a lot of advertisers just don't seem to kind of, I guess it's always that they're thinking it's always aspirational, but everyone's got a different aspiration, haven't they?
exactly. It's not
It's
everyone
one
just
person's aspiration.
oh,
It's somebody else's, maybe nightmare. You just don't know, do you? Like if you don't
exactly.
like mountains.
Well, case in point, like my sister-in-law, I love her. And it's been years that she's trying to get me into camping. And I'm like, no, unless it's a five-star actual hotel with bidet and
Yeah.
breakfast buffet, I'm not in. I will visit you
Yeah.
at the campsite. I will have a drink. I will sit around the whatever. But but no, it's
The
not.
campfire.
Yeah, I will sit around the campfire. I will burn the marshmallow. But after that, I'm out.
You're going home to your bed.
Yes.
Your nice, comfortable mattress and warm bed. Yeah, I don't blame you.
And everything is where it should be. If I have to pee in the middle of the night, you know, which I do
Oh
often.
yeah.
So that's the thing. For
Yeah.
for some people, it's cool and it's fun. It's something that they're looking for the entire year to wait until it's the summer and they go camping and so on. Um, but
Mhm.
no, you will never pay me enough to go camping.
I take it. Yeah, that's it. I think you'd have done it by now. You
Yeah,
know, I think you'd have done it by now if you're going to go. So that's it. That's
yeah.
fine, isn't it? We
Oh
all
my
like different things. We all have a different lens of the world as well. And this is another thing when we understand somebody's lens
mhm.
is so different because of their experiences, what they've gone through, how they've what patterns have been created in their mind through that experience actually, and that's all to do with your beliefs.
Yes,
So
and
yeah,
I want to know more about how do you work with your client? Like me, I already am a subscriber of Mind Over Matter. I even
yes.
I last week I bought a website domain called called growthmind.us, and then I bought another one, growthmind.uk, because I fully believe I want to do something with mindset and growth in the future. It's just like, when other people go and browse and buy new shoes, I go browse and buy new domain. But
I love it. Oh my god, that's amazing. Yeah, I love it.
I
I
have in
love
my
it. I
possession
think it's
like dozens of domain. But I want to hear from you that you are a trained rapid transformational therapist and a neuro change practitioner. This is literally what you do for a living.
yes.
How do you how do you take care of a patient or even approach a patient that is in the far end of the spectrum of a growth mindset? How do you even approach this species?
So you have, first of all, you have to take information into transformation. I believe that you need some education. So I always start with teaching people the basics of how their minds are wired. What is a belief? People live their whole lives through beliefs. And when you actually understand that a belief is a pattern
Mhm.
that our brain creates in order to save energy, to make connections. I mean, the human brain is amazing because the whole reason that we're at the top of the food chain is that we were able to adapt to our environment. So when we're born, we have like the hardware, but the software needs to kind of develop, and how it develops is by adapting through its unique experience. Now, whether that experience is empowering or disempowering, that's how it learns, and how it creates. So if you've heard of neuroplasticity,
Mm.
means that we can change at any point in
Yes.
our life. But what we're doing is we're taking in data all the time, and then we're using and noting co-occurrences
Mhm.
around us to make a connection so that it can use a past experience to predict the future as well.
Mm.
So, based on that information, we create beliefs, and beliefs are anything from as you get up in the morning and you swing your legs out of bed, you know that you're sat on a bed because you've been told that's a bed, you've experienced what a bed is. You don't have to tell your mind how to walk. You know that's something that's already been preloaded and you've learned. And you go to your kitchen and you grab that thing that's a kettle. You've been told that's a belief. Every single thing is a pattern that has already been used.
Muscle
So
memory.
when you start to understand, yeah, well, that's the subconscious mind becoming
Yeah.
the body, actually. So the subconscious mind. So these things that we learn become patterns and programs in our mind to help us navigate the world. So by the time you're, I don't know, 35, like 95% of everything you do is literally a program that's
Mm.
already been learned.
Mm.
But the thing is, we get stuck with the programs that aren't healthy, disempowering beliefs,
Mm.
um, habits that don't serve us,
Yes.
beliefs about what we think are possible, and these are all things, all they are, it's just something we've learned because of the experience that we've had. So the RTT, so education's really key,
Mm.
understanding the power of the subconscious mind, what the subconscious mind actually does for us. And the RTT is about, so the coaching is future orientated.
Yeah.
So you build that vision, you use visualization, you can really employ almost like an unfair advantage
Mhm.
of the subconscious mind when you learn how to tap into it and use it to your advantage, but clearing out rapidly the stuff that has become wired into you, the limiting beliefs, the behaviors, the things that are your default setting that you go to, because they're in the subconscious mind just runs with it until you introduce a new perspective, new information, and upgrade it. And doing that at a subconscious level, which I use hypnotherapy for, which is what transformational therapy is, to clear that out quickly so
Mm.
that you can then form new beliefs, new patterns of behavior, new programs that will serve you to create what you desire in life ultimately.
Yeah. And
So that's in a nutshell.
you must really hate the term you can't teach new tricks to old dogs.
Yes, because it's just not true. Because of neuroplasticity, which is the growth mindset in action.
Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
the first thing when you said education is to dispel that myth that
Yeah.
you actually can
Yes.
teach old dogs new tricks. You really, really can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think there has to be, and you can tell me this, there has to be an actual medical, scientific research to back this up. Can you
Oh
throw?
yes, this is all neuroscience. This is neuroscience. This is what they understand about the brain now.
Mm.
Many years ago, a few decades ago even, they really thought the brain was more fixed in its way, and that even that you would get to a certain age and you couldn't really change or
Mm.
evolve. And we now know that isn't true. And
Mm.
what we also know, which is so useful for anybody, is that because your brain, I mean, and you'll know this if you had obviously anxiety or, a predisposition to this, is that your brain can't tell the difference between something that's real or imagined. So just by imagining something, you
Mm.
will create a neurobiological reaction, which is then going to tell you to feel a certain way and act a certain way. So, which can again work to our advantage when we understand this, because we can start to use a vision,
Mm.
a process, a belief, create all those things ahead of the event itself.
Mm.
So this is about using the brain intelligently to plug in what you want. How do you want to feel? This is almost like, I guess, manifestation, really, but using the power of your mind that
Yeah.
it can change. And it's plastic. That's what neuroplasticity is, that
Yeah.
you're building new pathways of
It's a Play-Doh.
thought. And it's a Play-Doh. It can be, that's why when
Pump it.
people have a stroke or what have you, you can learn to, do certain things again,
Mm.
with, with enough help and support. But there is a process. So
Yeah.
knowing that process and also buying into it, like you said, is
Yes.
really important as well. So you need to buy into it. And repetition is key.
Yeah.
We still have old pathways of thought. So we have to practice the new pathways of thought. We have to have deliberate practice, is what we would say. It's like a
Yeah.
deliberate practice to strengthen those pathways,
Mm.
and to let go of the old pathways which could still exist. Think of a tree growing anew, or a road. You're starting off with this really small, it's not even a path, and you're walking down that path. And then the
Mm.
more you walk down that path,
Mm.
the more of a path it becomes, and the quicker and easier it is to kind of move along that path. It's the same with creating new pathways of thought and
Yes.
connections.
I think
So yeah, it's fascinating.
those who are, um, well, I'm not at all into woo woo that I put crystal under my pillow and then everything's going to be fine. But I do know that if you're listening right now, just think about, how when you bite into lemons and how that tastes, and
Hmm.
now you're salivating, right? That's not
Absolutely,
magic
yeah.
at all. What I just said is not magic at
Yeah,
all.
it's the mind body connection. Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah.
if, as you said, the brain doesn't know what's real, what is not. You're not actually now biting into a lemon, but your brain, told your glands to produce extra saliva, right? So,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and here's another fascinating thing that I learned a couple of years ago, that if you're craving for a chocolate cake and you're thinking about that chocolate cake, guess what? Your body is producing insulin already. And for me,
Mm.
my takeaway from that is like, well, then have the cake. Your body is already doing it anyway. Just,
Yeah.
um of course, not to an excess, but if you're craving for something, have at it. And it's not gonna,
Hmm.
again, going back to what we said at the beginning, being kind to yourself, not being so hard on yourself, because why deny yourself something that your body already are prepared to tackle? Like your body is already prepared. Okay, give
Yeah.
me that sugar now. So yeah,
Yeah.
why the hell not?
And this is where, as well, the power of your beliefs are so important, because, this is why, we have placebo effect.
Yes.
So if you're told that a sugar coated pill is going, your body has its own pharmacy. So as soon as your mind has cottoned onto that, it's going to it's sending the message to your body
Mm.
that this is what I mean, it's amazing when you think what our bodies do. And it's the same with when we think something's going to be bad for us. There's extensive research, and that's called the nocebo effect.
Mm.
So just by thinking something's going to be bad for us will create that physiologically within our body as well. So we have to be really careful what we choose to believe, So why not start choosing to believe the things that will empower you
Yes.
and move you towards your goals? And also every thought, the thoughts that we think, are creating a neurobiological reaction. So,
Mhm.
the hormones of stress, those types of things. So we have to deliberately practice the things that we want to think, and actually just processing our emotions as well, just
Mhm.
understanding and redirecting. So this isn't about toxic positivity,
Mm.
because that doesn't work.
No. That's
Just
another
blind
thing.
affirmations don't
Yeah.
work. Yeah, exactly. So we have to, but what we can do is we can learn to understand and recognize our emotions and redirect them, and
Yes.
actually not push them down, but redirect them, so as that we move out of those states a lot quicker, and we can sort of
Yes.
get on with our lives, and do the things that we want to do.
I think it's the difference between toxic positivity versus growth mindset is one is trying to deny and suppress any bad feeling, any bad emotion. That's toxic positivity, I think. And growth mindset is knowing and letting, again, being kind to yourself. If you are feeling down, feeling sad, um, feeling pity about yourself, like, oh, why did I do that thing? But knowing that
Mm.
you will bounce back, knowing that that is not the end of the world, I think that is the difference. What do you reckon, Sophie?
Yeah, actually, I would even go one step further, because from the research on growth mindset,
Yeah.
is actually when we face difficulties,
Yeah.
it's the error correction. It's that aha moment when you realize that something didn't, you got something wrong, that then actually speeds up the growth for getting it right next time, because it's like the brain takes note of the things that we get wrong. So if we're always trying to avoid getting things wrong, we're not going to grow and develop at the same rate.
Mm.
But what we do is that we recognize that when we get things wrong, that actually the error correct, that's when you're told what the error was, that's when, or you find out, you go and research and stuff, like, think, okay, what didn't go well about that? And instead of being scared of that, embracing it,
Yeah.
and then learning and understanding that learning will project you physically. It actually aids neuroplasticity. It will
Yeah.
create a pathway for change quicker.
Absolutely.
So it's actually good to get things wrong.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah. And all emotions are valid. Yeah, absolutely. We can't say one's a good emotion, one's a bad. You could say something maybe empowering or disempowering,
Mm.
and just noticing the emotion and say, well, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling this? And understanding that emotion is a neurobiological reaction, that if you just let it run
Mhm.
for 90 seconds,
Mhm.
it will naturally run its course.
Mm.
It's only when we keep stuck in that emotion because we're not processing, that we keep re-experiencing the same
Mm.
reaction, and it keeps us stuck. If we notice it, feel it, attend to it, and then redirect, then we can move through them quicker.
Oh my God, I just have an epiphany. We should Marie Kondo our experiences, our trauma, because a lot of people, again, because they haven't dealt with it, they keep re-experiencing again. But if we,
Yes.
yeah, you feel it, you've acknowledged it, you validated that it, okay, you've experienced this particular experience and it's traumatic and it makes me feel this and this, and I thank the experience and thank myself for overcoming it, and then put it aside and put it into the bin and move on. I think what a lot of toxic positivity does is like, well, it happened for a reason. Move on, move forward without that
Yeah.
particular thing
The
that
processing. Yeah.
okay, finish it, acknowledge it, thank 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 you for visiting my life, and now get rid of yourself. So I think that is
Yeah.
one that is a lot of because everyone has trauma, and it's not a trauma Olympic. Every person's definition of a traumatic event is, of course, then different in terms of magnitude
Yeah.
to others. But
Yes.
yeah, I think, as you said, you have to let it finish the cycle, so it won't
Yeah, you
go.
can't deny it. And also, yeah, big events, big, you can have lots of mini traumas, like you
Yeah,
say. And actually the body experiences the emotion before the mind has, because actually the body's sense, the sensory, what it's bringing in from the environment and sensing it hits the body first before it
mhm.
tells the brain. So, often we're feeling it in our bodies. So what we have to do is become aware of what we're feeling, and that's why somatic work's really useful as well, is that actually you're
Yes.
processing the feeling, how that's manifesting in the body, where are you feeling it, and then using sort of somatic, things like obviously breath work, and can be really, really helpful, movement as well, to kind of release stored, trapped emotions which physically get trapped in the body. And sometimes you can't logically just reason them out. You have to start allowing the body to kind of process it. But
Yeah,
processing is healthy, and what we should all be doing more of, really.
yeah. In my
Because otherwise it bites you on the bum, it keeps you stuck.
exactly, in my culture, we often joke that let it out, otherwise it will grow into a pimple.
It's true. It's so true. It's physically stuck emotion, energy. Emotions are literally energy. It's converted energy. It's a reaction in your body. So it is stored emotion, emotional energy. So it's not just a conceptual thing, it's a physical thing.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, just recognizing it, processing it, finding what works for you, and knowing it's okay to kind of move through those things, and you will get through it eventually.
here you are. Tips of the day: how to avoid acne. Be true to yourself and be kind to yourself, and wash that face.
Yeah, kind. We've got to be kind to ourselves. I love that. Absolutely. I always say, let's take the guilt, shame, blame, all those like lower emotions where we're kind of beating ourselves up, and just say, actually, this is how the human body and mind is designed to operate. We're designed to look for danger, to move ourselves away from danger, aren't we? So we shouldn't beat ourselves up. But then, once you understand that, you can do something about it, because you can kind of use your conscious and subconscious mind
Yeah.
together to kind of, yeah, get through these things.
And as you quite rightly say, we can be the driver of our destiny. And now I'm wondering, what happens when Sophie's king?
Oh gosh. So when I am king, I am going to educate children about the power of their minds,
Mm,
because I think this stuff, just basic stuff that you could teach, like I wish I knew this years ago.
yeah.
I wish I knew what made me tick. I wish I knew how our minds are wired, and why things happen, why we might feel this way, why we might behave like this, because knowledge comes power. So you start teaching children, I know they already do this with growth mindset, but you start teaching children about what is the subconscious mind, what is good brain health, what can we do to support our minds, and to, because mental health is such a big, a big, it's such a big problem in terms of people having issues in their life right now that just hold us back and stop us from living and enjoying life. And also, I think, in terms of education, just allowing people to teaching people their unique gifts as well. We try and it's like a sausage factory at the moment. You know, if you're good at this, we form these beliefs about what we're good at. So I think teaching about beliefs and how we can change beliefs, how we can use a growth mindset, it needs to be on the curriculum.
Absolutely. I so
So that's what I do.
am behind that. If we can teach them, we know how to teach them manners. So why not go on a step further? Manners and
Yeah,
manners to themselves, not only manners to their neighbor and their seniors, their elders, but manners to themselves. Why call yourself stupid if you can
yeah,
call yourself, I'm learning. I'm in the middle of my process of
yeah.
learning, right? Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that I can really achieve anything. Yeah, I don't need to be pigeonholed in one place. I can choose what I'm good at. I can evolve what I'm good at. I can be make empowered decisions. Yeah, so many people come through an education system feeling really disempowered
Yeah.
and having pigeonholed themselves, like you say, is not necessarily being good at something. And actually, it's like, no, I didn't learn the skills for that thing at the time, and I'm choosing to do that now.
Yeah.
And also just, you know, basics about how you can look after this wonderful organ called your brain as
Yes.
well, you know,
Absolutely.
and keep yourself healthy.
Yes. Healthy and happy. It
So
all starts from the mind. Thank you so much for your time today, Sophie, on our podcast.
oh, you're welcome. I've loved talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, listeners, look out for the next episode because there are more female representation from all over the place, but mostly England because it's where I am now. But if you do have female founders from your area, your country that you would love for me to interview, please get in touch. Email me at rebecca@upgradingwomen.com. Now, see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Yay!